Don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique.
Welcome back to the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. So happy to have you with me today. And as you know, and as I say almost each and every show, when it comes to technology, when it comes to just innovation out there, there's a lot of great things to choose from out there. But what can help us navigate through the best one for us and our purpose and what we need when it comes to, let's say, picking a beer? My next guest joining me here shortly is really going to help us to navigate through that. And don't forget, coming up in our last segment of the show, we're going to be joined by a very special guest with some great news. We're going to talk about fitness and technology and how that goes hand in hand, and just a merger that her company just took part in that just is going to change the game when it comes to this. So you don't want to miss that coming up. But joining me right now from the company Untappd, we have Greg Avola joining us. He is the CTO and the co-founder of the company. Greg, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Hey, great to have you with me today. And Greg, you and I have something in common, and that is our hatred of the Yankees. Me being a Dodger fan and bleeding Dodger blue, and you being a Sox fan out there. We have some good common ground, don't we?
We do, yeah. I'm living in the enemy state. I mean, I've been a Red Sox fan all my life. So living in New York, it's like I got to be careful where I go and who I talk to.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, so Greg, let's talk about this great innovation of Untappd, and just, how did you know this was something you guys wanted to tackle and have out there?
Yeah, so Untappd's kind of a project that my co-founder and I, Tim Mather, out of California, we basically looked at a lot of different things out there on the internet. We've been friends for a long, long time, doing a lot of side projects together. And we looked at the industry of beer as being very social. You go to the bar, you hang out with friends, you're drinking, you're clinking, you're having a great time. But there's no internet version of that experience. So we said we wanted to actually do some sort of a social network that would kind of involve the aspect of social drinking, but to an aspect where you can record, log, and rate things and get recommendations, thus making it a more social experience in and outside the bar.
That is so cool. And we're looking at some images right now of your app right here. And There you go. There's a picture of you, Greg. See, you're right there.
A little cartoon face you got up there. I love it.
Yeah, that's super cool. So walk us through this right here. We see that we have Untappd, we have a check-in, a wish list. Well, what does all this mean?
Yeah, so the screen you see where it has the Citrella IPA from New Belgium Brewing Company. That's our beer page, kind of outlined a little bit about the ratings, the reviews. There's a bunch of numbers on here as well, including the total number of check-ins, which is 64,000 check-ins for this beer in lifetime.
Wow.
Then we have a monthly rate here, which is 27,000 check-ins per month. And this you column is actually a screenshot from my phone. I've had this beer 3 times, and I've rated it a 4 out of 5. So I really enjoy it. You can also see some interesting things about what the global rating is, which is at the top of the page, which is a 3.717. I gave it a little bit higher. I think it's a great beer. And also how many ratings you have for the beer overall. And on the other screen, which is a detailed check-in view, I went to one of my favorite breweries out there in Atlantic Highlands in New Jersey, which is called Carton Brewing Company. So you can see that I checked in a boat beer, which is one of their beers they make. And I took a picture as well, and you'll see that I rated this one a 4.25. So a little bit better on the scale for me, and I definitely enjoy that beer as well.
That is so cool. And Greg, when we look at where the company is at today, to where it started from, you didn't have an app format, did you? It was mainly a web format, right?
That's right. Tim and I really started it back 2010, and we were really seeing to see if Untappd would stick. To be honest, we didn't know people would really want to log the beers they're having and share them socially. It was a concept that really hadn't been done before, but the craft revolution had got so popular that people want to remember all the beers they were having so that they can keep track of it. In the old days, you used to keep track of it on a spreadsheet or on a napkin in a bar. We want to modernize that approach, but we weren't sure how it would stick with the community. So we started out as just a mobile website you could do this from, and we got a lot of traction right off the bat. And it helped us make the decision to jump into the app world and kind of develop our own app to do it. But we kind of use the same principles that we've always started with, of being a community-based app, community first, and that kind of led us in the direction of going toward the app route.
And Greg, one thing I like about this app too, not only is it good for us consumers out there, but it's also good for the companies out there too, because they can kind of find out, what's going on, how their beers are trending, what if somebody has a problem. I remember you shared something when you were speaking to Google a few years back, and you were saying that one beer kind of rated low. It was because one of the places where you can buy the beer, the taps wasn't clean.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can use this product on a multifaceted level. It can be one for the consumer side to track all the beers you have, what you want to have. But on the other side as well, you can use it as an opportunity for businesses to actually tap in, no pun intended there, to actually go in there and see what beers are being served at your local spots. One of my favorite examples is there are a lot of local breweries that don't use the bigger distributors. They hand distribute. They drive to bar, and they drop off their kegs. But the biggest problem is they don't know when their keg gets on draft. Maybe it's sitting in the back room. So there's a lot of breweries that say, hey, I gave you a keg last week. Why isn't it on there? So you can use an opportunity for breweries and smaller ones to actually go in there and be able to moderate in a sense, or see how your product's trending. But something we just released earlier this year in February is a new product called Untappd for Business, which I'm really excited about. It allows bars and restaurants to actually publish their tap list in real time and publish that to all the customers on Untappd. So if you really want a beer and you really want to be alerted when it's coming to be nearby you, Untappd Business can help you get to that next level as a bar owner and as a customer as well.
Now, Greg, you must have been following me on social media, because I remember a few years back, I was pretty upset when I went to this one establishment. They were out of a beer that I wanted on tap. And
exactly.
It'd have been nice to know before I got there if it wasn't there, because I would have, had my taste buds ready for something else instead of the one that I really wanted. So I think this is super cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's something that we wanted to build for a very, very long time. It's an incredibly valuable tool for both the consumers and the businesses, because ultimately the exact same situation happens a lot when I'm on Untappd, and a lot of the users too, is that we provide a more top beers that could be at the location, but it may not even be there. It could have tapped or it could have kicked. So you may really want to make sure that it's actually physically there. So this platform allows us to be really picky about sending push notifications to the right people for the right beer that's being put on the draft. So you never have to have that same situation happen to you. And I've been there 1,000 times, so this hopefully will solve that problem 100%.
So Greg, you guys are kind of like the beer watchdogs out there, right? To make sure
exactly right. Yeah. We're always going to be looking out there for the beers that you want, and then when we find them, we'll let you know. So your life can be easy and just open up that bottle or grabbing the tap and drinking it up.
Now, what's been the feedback from some companies out there when they're able to get this data so they can see what the consumers want? Has it been pretty welcomed, or are some of them like, hey man, you messing us up?
No, I think, honestly, a lot of breweries, bars, and even consumers, they look at focus groups and they spend a lot of money on breweries. Say, hey, we're going to give this beer to a bunch of people and see what they think. Untappd's a global platform. It's not just in the United States, it's international. So a brewery can look at their data on Untappd and say, hey, this beer is doing really, really well. We've seen a lot of stories of people that do small batches of a beer and it's well received. And from the data from Untappd, now they make it into a full release schedule for their beers. So provides them a really big avenue of being able to see detail at the micro level, as opposed to just seeing sales numbers at the macro level to see exactly how their beer is being perceived. So it's been very positive. The users love it too, because they get to see all the beers they've had from a consumer perspective. So we have a couple friends that actually only check in beers they've never had before. So they'll go to a bar and they have to kind of remember in the back of their head, what did I have? What didn't I have? And Untappd makes it easy for them to do that kind of experience as well. So all across the board, even the venue side with the Untappd for Business platform, they're able to see analytic data on demographics of their customers, as well as some beers that are popular around them that they're not selling right now. Giving them a perception of what to put on draft is a really kind of key feature of the platform.
And Greg, speaking of experiences, it was an experience that led you to kind of, create this, this platform, you and your buddy. And let's talk about that experience.
Yeah, so Tim and I obviously live on two sides of the coast. I'm on the East Coast in New York. He's in California. There are a lot of beers in each area of the country that I can't get. And one of the biggest things that we found was that I love to be able to track or see exactly what he's drinking. But more importantly, Tim and I were big Foursquare users. So he would check into a bar, I would check into a bar. And I always felt like there was more to be said about that check-in. What did you drink there? What did you have? What experience did you have? And from that whole experience of being really big into Foursquare, of checking into places, we want to take it one step further in terms of actually adding the action of what you did at that bar. And that's kind of how Untappd started, is that we looked at the industry of beer. It's very social. And we looked at the idea of a Foursquare check-in of being at a place. We wanted to extend that. And from there, I get to see all the beers he's consuming. He gets to see all the beers I'm consuming. And then I get recommendations because I can see what he's having. So it became a whole drinking socially experiment together. Even though we weren't right next to each other, we felt like we were with the app. And that's kind of how it all came together.
And what made you love craft beer so much? Was it a particular craft beer?
The funny thing about this is that neither Tim or I really were into beer before Untappd even was created. We liked the concept of the social community of beer drinkers, but when I tell people that, they always get so like, oh my God, are you serious? You didn't even like beer? And it's true. We didn't find the right beer they were looking for. And I'm a big believer that if someone says to you, I don't like beers, because they haven't found that beer they want, that they tried. And for me, I got into this through Untappd. I tried a few craft beers that were recommended to me from the app, which is kind of funny because I built the recommendations
Yes.
and that's how it came to me. But it actually worked 100%, and I enjoyed it. And I think that the idea of the Greg Avola now liking IPAs 5 years ago, I would have laughed at myself.
Right.
But because I've kind of got us on my comfort zone, learned more about the styles and things that I like, I became a really big fan of it. So, I felt like if it worked for me and Tim, it can probably work for a lot of people. And that's the feedback we got most of the time.
Yeah, when it comes to recommendation, is there a particular beer recommendation? Like, some of me and my buddies, sometimes we go back to our days when we lived in the hood and we like that old English 800. So is there a recommendation for some malt liquor too, or is it like Billy D with the Colt 45? Don't let the smooth taste fool you.
We do have recommendations for all types of beer. So we, on the service, we support malt liquor, we support beer, cider, and mead. Those are the main ones that we kind of support on the service. So as you drink or check into more of those beers, we get a taste profile of what you like. And then what we do is we recommend similar beers of similar styles that are available in your local area. That's the key differentiator here, in my opinion, is that, sure, I can recommend you beers, but if you can't get them, it's kind of useless to you. So we've really focused on building this kind of map of where beer is distributed and give you recommendations on where the beer actually is located. That way you can say, hey, I like this beer, it's recommended, and I can go get it down the street. Otherwise, you're kind of lost and said, hey, I want this beer, but I can't find it anywhere near me. And it kind of makes it a bad experience. So that's the real thing that we focus on, is local recommendations to kind of improve the experience of the user.
Absolutely. And Greg, we have some more images right here. And why don't you walk us through these images right here?
Sure. So one of the key things of Untappd is the activity feed. So it basically tells you, in a nutshell, like a Facebook activity feed of where your friends are, what they're drinking, and what they've rated it. So in this example here, there's a person, Marty Freeman, who had the beer is called The Calling, which is a brewery out of Kansas City, Missouri. And my co-founder, Tim, toasted it. Our version of Toast is like a like on Facebook, very similar concept and a little cheeky as well. You also can comment on the check-in and say, hey, this one's been calling me too, being willing to try it, have a communication between the two. The other screenshot is just another part of the app as well, where you can see more photos that are a big part of the application. The tabs on the top of these screenshots, we have 3 different areas. One is your friends, which is considered to be your friends, like a friends feed. The next one is called nearby. You can see what people are drinking nearby your current location. And the groups is a new one that we just released. And that allows you to kind of create these custom group feeds of people checking in your area. So if you have a group that lets you go out and you call them the Untappd crew or whatever you want to call them, you can create your own custom group and get a custom feed of what's happening within there. So that's kind of the outlook of what Untappd is in a nutshell.
Wow, that is truly, truly amazing. Now, the next question, I would be remiss not to ask you this, my friend. Badges, we don't need no stinking badges. You got badges in here. Let's talk about the badges.
Yeah, the badges were a concept that we took from Foursquare. If you're familiar with the platform, you used to check in and get badges for doing certain activities, like going to a pizza place or a fountain, those type of things. And we took the same thing with Untappd and made it more of a social experiment. We really wanted to get you outside the comfort zone. So we had some friends that drink the same beer all the time, and we wanted to reward them for trying different things. So we have badges for drinking certain styles of beer, like I Believe in IPA, which is drinking an IPA beer. We have Hefenista, which is our version of checking into a Hefeweizen beer. So it makes it really fun and engaging. We also have them for countries, and we also do sponsored badges with breweries and also with beer weeks in your local area. So it makes it a really cool experience of kind of obtaining a badge, sharing it with friends. The whole concept of earning a badge is kind of interesting in a nutshell because it's digital. It doesn't get you anything in life, maybe a pat on the back. I like to collect them because I'm a collector. Most people are in terms of the beer community as well. So it's kind of a great way to kind of engage your group and engage your fans.
You know, and one of the things I really appreciate about you and your partner is that, you know, you share the story of the journey and how you guys, you know, basically self-funded. There's this company right here, and you had to have some ups and downs. But are you glad that you continued, you know, the course?
Yeah, so we've been doing it part-time for almost 5.5 years. So we started back in October of 2010. Tim and I worked on it at night, on weekends. We're like Dexter. We just don't kill anybody, I guess you could say, in our second life. You know, really what it comes down to is we really passionate about this community, this field, and we felt like we could make an impact in both the consumers, the breweries, and the restaurants area. So that motivated us to continue to work on it, even though we're self-funded, we weren't paying ourselves, we're doing it for the love of the passion of the project. And then this past year, we merged with another company called Next Class, which allowed us to get on it full-time for the first time in 5.5 years. So we're very excited to be able to do it in a full-time manner, growing our team and our sales team for the business products. And it's really an incredible road or journey that we've been able to go down from basically starting this from scratch all the way up to where it is today, where it's a full-on corporation company that we're working on it full-time and have a team. So it's a dream come true for myself. And, you know, ultimately for other people that are thinking about similar things, it's definitely possible to do this while keeping your current job. A lot of people have always said you have to quit your job, eat ramen noodles for the rest of your life to make your product, and you don't have to do that. And I guess I'm proof of that. That
is so true. And I remember watching a video of you too, saying that your wife was the one to let you know the success of the app, and that had to be gratifying.
She actually took a screenshot of back in the old day, 2010, of Untappd being on the top 50 of social apps out there on the App Store, which is incredible to see that from a small company, from Tim and myself. Is very humble to be able to be on that list. But to be honest with you, we built this product for the community, and nothing gives me greater joy to talking to people like yourself and the fans out there, and going and walking to a bar and seeing someone using it and engaging it. That to me makes everything that we've done, all the blood, sweat, and tears worth it. And that's what we're really all about here.
That is so awesome. And one thing I like about, like, somebody's calling in right now wanting to find out about it, but I'm not going to take any calls right now. This is me and you right now, because this is amazing. Now not only of being a beer connoisseur, you're also, you know, heavy in the tech world too. I mean,
yes.
you know a lot about technology, about coding, and about a lot of things. Share with me just how technology, how it has advanced to the point now where you can make this app a reality.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, growing up and even in college, and I'm not too young here, basically when it came into developing and learning this stuff in school, when I was in school, there was no iPhone. There was no mobile phones out there. We were building websites, we were building experiences. But nowadays, there are so many mediums and technologies where you can actually develop something at a very, very low cost. I mean, it used to be you have to buy expensive servers, buy a data center, and that was very costly. Nowadays, there are cloud technologies where you can rent servers by the hour. The development of these iPhone apps and things like that are very inexpensive, and you can actually take an idea from concept to finish very, very, very quickly. I mean, when we first started about the idea of Untappd, we had a prototype in about 48 hours. It was a very simple mobile version of the app, but when you're passionate about something, time just kind of goes away. You can just kind of get it done. And I think for people thinking about their own inventions, a lot of times you're like, oh, I don't know how to code. I'm not sure how I do this, but you can find someone to help you on the internet these days, and that really wasn't existing a long time ago. So it's evolved into a huge facet of knowledge-based articles and things like that can get you off your feet and get you coding and technology. So for me, in school, I learned this stuff, but I really kind of learned it more as I was kind of implying it in my everyday life.
Amazing. And Greg, it's been an honor talking to you, my friend, and chatting with you about Untappd. And I wish you much success. And I know in the area of California, what are you seeing as far as the trends? Is it the IPA trends now we're seeing when it comes to one's checking in on the app?
Well, speaking of the Los Angeles area, it's one of our top areas on Untappd, in the top 10 of user base. And we see a lot of influences in the IPA world. Obviously, being pretty close to San Diego, we have a lot of Stone Brewing Company beers that populates on the list. Noble Ale Works is another one that kind of gets up there. And we also have Angel City, which is located right downtown in Los Angeles. Those are the kind of the top breweries that we see, but mainly they're all IPAs. And I think IPAs is one of those things where it's taking the world by storm. If you do not make an IPA and you're a brewery, I don't know, something may be wrong. You should probably look into that. But I think when it comes down to the hoppiness of the beer, that tends to take the cake when it comes to Los Angeles type of brewing. That's
awesome, man. For some of our beer novices out there who may not be too sure what IPA stand for,
Sure.
What does IPA stand for?
It stands for India Pale Ale. It's a kind of a hoppy, bitter taste of a beer. It's people that are used to more lagers or ales that have more of a lighter color, kind of a more of a small bitter taste to it. The IPAs are darker in color. They have an aroma that smells delicious, in my opinion. It's kind of like sometimes they'll do some roasted flavors in there as well. But it's more hoppier. That's the kind of taste you get in the back of your palate. So it's definitely an acquired taste. I think that if you're just getting into craft beer, IPAs might not be the best way to start. If you don't like more of the bitterness of a beer, we always recommend going for more of a wheat beer, Hefeweizen. A Blue Moon per se is the kind of complement to beer people drink most of the time to go more that route. But IPAs is one of my favorites. It's easy drinking, it's great, and a lot of brewers are making great ones out there, especially in California.
Awesome. And Greg, we got to have you back on again, my friend, because I know, this is just exploding and congratulations on all the success. And how can our viewers and our listeners find out more information about this great app and about the company and how they can join the community?
Sure. Yeah. You can download the app on the App Store or Android Play. It's very simple. It's search for Untappd. No E at the end because I guess vowels aren't cool, except in the internet world, I guess. And it looks cool when you look at it on an app. So you can get us at untappd.com. I'm at Greg Avola on Twitter. I'm pretty responsive on there. If you have any questions or you want to get involved, let us know. And hope to see you on Untappd checking in beers.
Greg, it's been an honor to have you, my friend, and I look forward to talking to you soon, okay?
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Sounds good. Hey, when we get back, we're going to be talking to another entrepreneur out there who used social media to, have the pulse of her customers, the different ones out there too. So we're going to continue that theme here on the Tech Zone. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Thanks to Greg Avola for joining us from Untappd. Don't forget to download that wonderful app. And at the end of the show, we'll share some more screenshots too. We'll be right back here with more Tech Zone.